Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Joel pushed the front door open with his shoulder, juggling his on-call backpack against his side while fumbling with his keys in the other hand. His body ached in that deep, bone-heavy way that came only after too many hours under harsh surgical lights. The clock on the microwave blinked 1:57 a.m. close enough to 2 in the morning on a Friday he wanted erased from memory. 3 emergency surgeries back to back. A German shepherd struck by a speeding car, bleeding internally, its heartbeat fluttering dangerously low. The owner had been hysterical, refusing to leave the operating room, clinging to Joel's arm until he'd been forced to make a choice: steady her as she nearly collapsed, or focus both hands on saving the animal. On the table, Joel had chosen the dog. He always did. Animals never pretended. They never smiled while hiding knives behind their backs. The house should have been dark and still. Cassandra usually turned in early on Fridays, insisting she needed rest before her Saturday shift at the boutique. She liked to say it with a little sigh, as if responsibility weighed heavily on her. But the moment the door swung open, Joel was hit with light and sound. The living room glowed like a nightclub, lamps blazing, fairy lights strung along the walls, electronic music thumping through the speakers hard enough to vibrate the floor. Voices overlapped in loud bursts of laughter. And beneath it all lingered the unmistakable scent of Cassandra's French perfume, that absurdly expensive one she'd bragged about getting at a discount, the one she wore like armor whenever she wanted to feel untouchable. At least 20 people filled the living room. Empty champagne bottles crowded the coffee table, their gold foil peeled back like discarded trophies. Metallic balloons hovered near the ceiling, swaying gently in the recycled air. A side table groaned under trays of catered food, cheeses, pastries, glossy fruit, none of which Joel had ever seen Cassandra prepare. She despised cooking, and never pretended otherwise. The noise died abruptly. It was as if someone had pressed pause on the entire room. Conversations cut off mid-sentence. Music still played, but no one moved. Every face turned toward him. Some seemed vaguely familiar. Co-workers, perhaps. Others were complete strangers, standing barefoot on his rug, leaning against his walls, holding glasses from his cabinets. Cassandra stepped out from the kitchen, a glass of white wine in her hand. She wore a tight black jumpsuit Joel had never seen before, sleek, deliberate, chosen to be noticed. Her eyes widened for half a second, panic flashing raw and unfiltered, before she smoothed it away beneath a wide, practiced smile. "Joel, honey, you're home early." She crossed the room quickly and kissed his cheek. The gesture felt automatic, rehearsed, like muscle memory rather than affection. "It's Clara's bachelorette party," she said lightly. "Remember? I mentioned it." Joel, he didn't remember. And he was certain Cassandra didn't have a cousin named Clara. She had 2 male cousins on her mother's side and a distant cousin in Florida no one ever talked about. Joel opened his mouth to ask, to press, but something in her eyes stopped him, a sharp, silent warning, almost a dare. "Hey, Joel." A blonde woman he had never seen before appeared at his side, holding out a champagne flute. "Want some? We're celebrating." He mumbled a polite refusal, his throat suddenly dry. This time, he scanned the room more carefully, and that was when he saw it. Draped casually over the leather armchair by the window was a familiar shape. A brown leather jacket, scuffed cuffs, a stitch patch on the left elbow. Aaron's jacket. Aaron had worn it to last Thanksgiving's barbecue. Aaron, his cousin, his best man, the kid who'd grown up beside him, who knew every secret Joel had ever buried, including the combination to the safe where Joel kept important documents. Joel's stomach dropped. It did not or churn. It simply fell, a clean, hollow plunge, as if the floor beneath him had vanished without warning. He looked at Cassandra again. She was laughing, too loudly now, standing near the couch with 2 women, her hands moving theatrically as she spoke. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. Joel already knew. "I'm going to take a shower," he announced to no one in particular. Nobody seemed to hear. He walked upstairs with heavy legs, feeling the weight of every step. In the second floor hallway, he passed the guest bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and he heard muffled laughter from inside. He didn't look. He didn't want to confirm what he already suspected. He entered his office, closed the door, and locked it. The room was exactly as Ash left it Thursday morning. A dark wooden desk, bookshelves filled with veterinary texts and crime novels he never finished reading, and the shared desktop computer. They technically shared it, though in practice, Cassandra only used her own laptop. But Joel, always meticulous, always cautious, had set up automatic backups of her phone to the desktop months ago when she complained her iPhone's storage was full. "Let me handle it," he'd said. And he turned on the computer. His shins trembled slightly as he navigated to the backup folder. Photo files, messages, apps. He hesitated. Part of him wanted to close everything, go back to bed, pretend everything was fine. But Aaron's jacket in the living room was a ticking time bomb that had already exploded. Joel just hadn't admitted the damage yet. He clicked into the messages folder. The backup app displayed conversations organized by contact. He scrolled until he found Darren Redart. The red heart next to the name felt like a cruel joke. Joel clicked. The first message he saw was dated 11 months ago. "Aaron, I can't believe we've gotten away with it this long without him suspecting anything. Do I think he really notices nothing? Cassandra, he's predictable. Joel's the kind of guy who believes words more than actions. If I say I love him, he believes it. Simple as that, Aaron. Lucky us. How long do you think can keep this up? Cassandra, as long as I want. He'll never suspect a thing. He's so busy saving puppies, he barely notices I exist." Joel felt something strange happen inside his chest. It wasn't pain. It was more like a disconnection, as if his body were in own place and his awareness floating somewhere else. He kept scrolling. There were hundreds of messages, photos, videos, detailed plans for meetups while Joel was on overnight shifts, conversations about hotels, laughter about poor Joel working so much was never home. Then he found the message thread about the party, dated 3 days ago. "Cassandra, I convinced Joel to take the Friday overnight shift. The house will be empty all night. Let's throw our birthday party like Wetland. Aaron, already been a year. Time flies when you're hiding something like this." "Cassandra, haha, stop. But seriously, I want to make it special. I'll invite everyone who knows. It'll be our official celebration. Like us going public. You know, Aaron, what if he comes home early?" "Cassandra, impossible. His shift goes until 6 o'clock a.m. and even if he does, I'll say it's Semyona's below party. He's so predictable. He won't even question it." "Aaron, you're bold. I like that." "Cassandra, he's so predictable. He's become the backdrop of our story. We use his house, eat the food he pays for, and he doesn't even realize he's a supporting character in his own life. Aaron, the poor guy, still believes love is loyalty. Almost feels sorry for him." Joel read that message 3 times. 4 or 5. The words began to lose some meaning, turning into abstract symbols on the screen. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He didn't slam his fist on the desk. Instead, he felt something he'd never experienced before. Absolute clarity, as if someone had flipped on every light in a dark room. And he could finally see every corner, every crack, every bit of rot hidden behind the nice furniture. He grabbed his phone and started taking screenshots of the screen message. Threads, photos, videos he couldn't stomach watching. He organized everything into a hidden folder on his own phone. Then he copied all the backup files onto a USB drive he kept in his desk drawer. 2 copies. 3, 4. He wasn't going to leave anything to chance. While the computer transferred the files, Joel looked out the office window. Down below in the backyard, he saw Aaron and Cassan dreidling near the pool. She was laughing, throwing her head back. He had his hand in her waist in a way Joel would never again. Intimate, possessive, familiar. Joel shut down the computer, grabbed those drives, and walked downstairs. The party was still going. Nobody noticed when he crossed the living room, picked up his car keys, and walked out front door without saying a word. Cassandra didn't even look back. He drove to the only place that made sense at that hour, the veterinary clinic. Unlocked the office with his master key, sat down in the empty waiting room, and stayed there in the dark until sunrise. He didn't think. He didn't plan. Has simply existed in that clean, sterile space where things were what they appeared to be. An injured dog was just an injured dog. A broken bone was just a broken bone. There were no layers, nollies. At 7 in the morning, he called Martin, his longtime attorney, the Samion who'd handled the house purchase 5 years earlier, back when Joel was still single, and Cassandra was just a charming girlfriend promising the world. Martin answered, "Groggy, Joel. Everything okay? It's way too early. I need a divorce today, if possible." Silence on the other end. "What happened?" "Adultery. I have proof. A lot of it. I need you in your office in 2 hours." Martin sighed. "I'll be there. Bring everything you've got." Joel hung up. Then he dialed another number. A locksmith friend who'd him favors. "I need all the locks at me house changed today. What do you charge for emergency service?" The rest of Saturday was purely operational. Mechanical. Joel treated his own life like he was performing surgery, numbing the emotions, focusing on the procedure, executing each step with surgical precision. Martin reviewed all the evidence, texts, photos, audio files Joel had pulled from the backup. Thelawir whistled softly. "This is strong, Joel. With documented adultery and marital misconduct, we can build a solid strategy for the divorce. And since the house is entirely in your name and was purchased before the marriage, that carries significant weight. I want her out as soon as possible. We'll go through proper legal channels. I can serve her formal notice Monday morning. As for shared assets, freeze the joint account, block all the credit cards. Today, she can keep whatever she brewed until the marriage. The rest is mine." Martin looked at Joel with an expression mixing admiration and concern. "Are you sure? Because once we start this, I'm sure." On Monday morning at 9:00, Cassandra was handed the official notice at the boutique where she worked, delivered by a court officer. Joel wasn't there to see her reaction, but Martin called with details. She went pale. "Tried calling you about 15 times. Did you block her number?" "I blocked everything. Her, Aaron, and Danioni who was at that party." Smart. But Joel wasn't done. Real revenge, he knew, wouldn't be shouted. It would be whispered. While Cassandra frantically tried calling him, texting him, banging in the door of a house now fitted with new locks, Joel was executing phase 2 of his plan. But the right way, without spectacle, without a stage, without giving anyone ammunition to turn theatables on him. He didn't post anything online. He didn't create public scenes. He didn't go around telling his version to strangers. Instead, he did something far more surgical. He organized the evidence into a clean dossier with dates, timestamps, screenshots, and a complete timeline. He separated what was essential from what was just gratuitous humiliation. Joel didn't want to expose anyone. He wanted to protect himself, following legal advice. Martin submitted only what needed to go through proper canals, attachments to filings, formal communications where appropriate, documented records for the case. No mysterious emails, no random mass messages, no messages for an audience. The goal was simple: shield Joel, expedite proceedings, and prevent any reversals. Still, real life has its own side effects. When Cassandra started missing work, showing up late, losing control as her unanswered calls and messages piled up, her workplace noticed. The boutique, built on image, discretion, and professionalism, began watching her behavior closely. On Tuesday, Cassandra was called into a meeting. On Wednesday, she was placed on administrative leave pending review of conduct and performance. On Thursday, she was fired, not because of some public scandal, not because of a viral explosion, but because of a cascade of poor decisions she could no longer hide once the lease spiraled out of control. Aaron didn't escape unscathed either, but not because of retaliation. The family noticed the absences, the flimsy excuses, the way he avoided lunches, gatherings, any direct contact with Joel. And when truth reached its inevitable destiny inside his own home, Thieful came as it always does for those who will play with trust, quietly, shamefully, irreversibly. As for the friends who'd been at the party, Joel handled each need differently. Some received short direct messages. You knew and still greeted me at the door like everything was fine. Others he simply blocked without explanation. Joel's absence, someone who'd always been reliable, present, generous, left a void many only realized too late. The following weeks blurred into paperwork, hearings, negotiations. Cassandra tried fighting for shared assets, claiming she deserved half duetto emotional contribution to the marriage. Martin calmly dismantled the argument, presenting evidence of adultery, bad faith, and proof she disjoined funds to support the affair. The judge, a stern woman in her mid-50s, eyed Cassandra coldly as she delivered the verdict. Divorce granted. No asset division and financial compensation heired to Joel for damages recognized in the case. Cassandra left the Curtis shattered. Joel left and went straight to the clinic. 6 months later, life had settled into a new rhythm. Joel adopted a stray mutt someone left at the clinic's doorstep. A dog of indeterminate breed, 3-legged, one-eyed, that nobody else wanted. Hannah met him second chance. He started volunteering in weekends, teaching basic veterinary first aid at a community clinic. He spent more time with his nieces and nephews, teaching them to fish, taking them to the zoo, being the present uncle he'd always wanted to be but never had time for. The house grew quieter, but it was a different kind of quiet. Not oppressive, not heavy with unspoken lies, just peace. Joel could sit on the couch at night with Chance curled up beside him and watch a movie without feeling like was missing something. Because he wasn't. He'd lost Cassandra, yes, but what he'd gained in return, dignity, clarity, freedom, was infinitely more valuable. He ran into Cassandra once by chance at a grocery store. She was in the checkout line alone, buying basic groceries. Her once impeccable hair was pulled into a simple ponytail. And no makeup, no designer clothes. She saw him and froze, opened her mouth as if to say something, but Joel just nodded, polite, distant, and walked on. There was nothing left to say. Aaron, heard through others, had moved to another state. He tried to start over, far from family, far from memories, far from shame. Joel felt no pleasure in that, no anger, just nothing. And he realized that was exactly what he wanted. Indifference. True revenge wasn't destroying Aaron. It was simply no longer caring. Cassandra tried calling one last time months after her divorce. Joel answered more out of curiosity than any desire to talk. Joel. Her voice was broken, exhausted. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I ruined it all. I know that. And Cassandra. He gently but firmly interrupted. I accept your apology, but it doesn't change anything. You made our choices. I made mine. Now we both live with the consequence. Are you okay? She asked. And for the first time in years, Joel thought Shaganui wanted to know. I am, he said, and it was true. I hope you find your way too. Eventually, he hung up before she could respond. The next night, Joel was in the backyard watching Chance play with an old tennis ball. The stars were visible, rare in city. He thought about everything lost. His wife, his cousin, the friends who'd taken sides, the illusion of a happy marriage. But he also thought about what he'd gained, the truth. The freedom to stop living under lies, the certainty that he'd never again let Simeon reduce him to background scenario in his own life. Chance dropped the ball at Joel's feet and looked up with the tone bright, expectant eye. Joel smiled, a small, genuine smile, and tossed the ball again, watching the dog run after it, awkward, but determined. It wasn't life he'd planned. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was real. It was honest. And for the first time in years, Joel didn't have to pretend everything was okay because it was. He went inside, Chance trotting behind him, and locked the door. The same door Cassandra would never cross again. The same house that now belonged solely to him, free of shadows and secrets. And as he prepared a simple dinner, pasta with tomato sauce, nothing fancy, nothing to impress an ion, Joel realized something important. The best revenge wasn't destroying Cassandra. It was being happy without her. It was waking up every day knowing he'd made the right choice. It was looking in the mirror and seeing a man who hadn't lowered his head, who hadn't settled for crimes, who hadn't let betrayal define who he was. Cassandra would eventually realize, if she hadn't already, that the real punishment wasn't losing Joel. It was understanding that everything she'd built, her career, her image, her relationships, was a fragile facade held up by lies. And when the truth came out, the facade crumbled, not because Joel destroyed it, but because she imploded it herself by choosing betrayal over honesty. Joel ate alone that night, but didn't feel lonely. Chance slept at his feet, snoring softly. The TV played a wildlife documentary. The house smelled of garlic and basil, simple, authentic, real. And for the first time in months, Joel slept through the night without waking up tight-chested in the middle of dark, without replaying memories, trying to figure out where he'd gone wrong. Because he hadn't gone wrong, he'd loved honestly in a world full of masks. And if that made him naive, as Cassandra and Aaron had laughed, then so be it. He'd rather be naive and truthful than cynical and fake. Dawn arrived quietly. Joel woke to Chance licking his face, asking for breakfast. He laughed, a light, weightless laugh, and got up. Another day. Another chance. Another opportunity to live the life he'd chosen, not the one someone had faked for him. And as he walked through the house that was now truly his, Joel realized the story was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming his life. It was about choosing dignity over drama, truth over illusion, peace over chaos. Cassandra lost far more than a husband. She lost a person who loved her unconditionally, who worked through nights to give her comfort, who believed in her best self, even when her worst was right there, hidden behind rehearsed smiles and secret parties. And Joel lost a lie and gained the truth. In the end, he came out ahead, not because he destroyed Cassandra, but because he refused to be destroyed by her. And Faith knew was the only victory that truly mattered. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.